Okay. If you're talking about his accomplishments, what has Joe Biden accomplished in 47 years that he's going to do now? He was within the Obama administration for 8 years, and what did he accomplish? So you tell me how
Really?
a 78-year-old man...
Was that a rhetorical question, or did you really want an answer for that?
Well, no, I'm using it both as an answer and a rhetorical. One, the Affordable Care Act lost people. Two, they instituted the cages down at the border where the families were separated.
But this is what I need from you, Paul, because what you said was that you're a Trump supporter.
Right.
I accept the fact that you feel that Biden is not a day at the beach and a walk in the park. I can accept that. But what I want to know is what makes you a Trump supporter, not simply a Biden denier or basher. But why do you support Donald Trump?
Okay, because number one, he has improved our economy. And number two, the way he handled the corona epidemic, I don't see what Joe Biden would have done differently. If you look at the history of the H1N1, where Biden stopped the testing, we are testing, okay? Looking at the other achievements, Biden has done a lot of talking, but Biden has not achieved. He's very good at presenting. And
you veered off again now. You said two things that Trump has done, and then you veered off to criticize Biden. Give me some more of what Trump has done that makes you a supporter of him, because I'm trying to learn. I mean, I am according to you the benefit of the doubt that as a decent fellow citizen, I want to know why I should look differently at this man than the way I do. And so you said that he improved the economy and that he did okay with the coronavirus, which I don't agree with either, but I want to hear the rest.
Okay. Militarily, he has improved us. Economically, from the standpoint of energy resources, he has improved us. From the standpoint of I will admit, can he be brash? Can he be crude? Yes. Does he say some things that he shouldn't say? I agree with you, yes. However, what I find offensive is you have Joe Biden, who mentally is challenged. And I'm sorry, I have been in the healthcare field for many, many years. Joe Biden scares me for one main reason, and I'll tell you this.
Okay, and then I've got to take a break, but go ahead.
Okay. This is a man that's going to go up against Putin, Xi, North Korea, North Vietnam, when he can't put two sentences together. That's what scares me.
I'll tell you what, when I come back, we've got Valerie Jarrett, but man, I'm looking forward to responding. I am so grateful that you called in to honestly share those points, and we're going to honestly take a look at them. Paul, thank you for listening to us, and thank you for joining in the dialogue. We're late on a break, but I wanted to hear before we took it. Eric, take us away on this break, and we'll be right back here at WURD after this.
I'm Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and this message is for the sisters. We wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, aunties and daughters, teachers, community leaders, and CEOs. We rise to the occasion every day. We're good at it too. And now, more than ever, we need to do what we do. Show up and show out this election. To organize, to make those calls and get out the vote. To stand up for our families and our communities, just like you do every single day, every single time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are counting on us, and we know that we can count on them.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Everyone has a different journey to their vote, but we all take the same steps. If you want to vote, register by October 19th. If you want to vote by mail, apply now and mail your ballot back as early as possible, before November 3rd. Or bring it to a satellite election office. If you want to vote in person, go to your polling location on November 3rd. However you want to vote, we'll help you find the way. Visit PhiladelphiaVotes.com.
Pico has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. If your heating and cooling system is more than 20 years old, it may be time for your contractor to replace it with a high-efficiency Energy Star certified model. You'll get a rebate from Pico and save on your monthly electric bill. You'll find a list of new heating and cooling system rebates at pico.com/rebates. Or you can call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE for all the details. Plus, find instant discounts on smart thermostats and more at pico.com/marketplace. There's free shipping on orders over $49.
Tuesday, November 3rd is Election Day in Pennsylvania. Polls are open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. New Voices for Reproductive Justice is reminding you to make a plan to vote. What time will you vote? How will you get there? Where is your poll located? Part of your plan is to protect your health. When you go to the poll, make sure you wear a mask, bring sanitizer, and stay 6 feet apart. For more info, visit newvoicesrj.org/2020 elections. newvoicesrj.org/2020 elections.
This is not a fad for us.
We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are
undeniably,
indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media.
WURD.
Now, a traffic update
on WURD Radio.
It's a bit busy already on the Philly roads. This report is sponsored by United Healthcare. Schuylkill Expressway westbound bumper to bumper 28th Street into 30th Street. That because of construction. Left lane is blocked. Just the right lane is squeezing by at the moment. Further west than the Schuylkill, sluggish between Gladwin and Conshohocken. Eastbound Schuylkill, it's heavy 476 to Conshohocken. Heavy again from Montgomery into South Street. Vine Expressway westbound jamming 8th Street into the Schuylkill Expressway. Eastbound on the Vine, slow traffic from Schuylkill back out to Broad. And if you're on 95, southbound at Jams Cottman into Bridge Street through the construction zone, one lane is blocked. Northbound 95 slowing from Academy to Woodhaven with a disabled vehicle off on the shoulder. Jamming on the Boulevard northbound, Schuylkill Expressway into Broad Street, and careful getting into Pennsylvania. Ben Franklin Bridge westbound, it's sluggish between the toll plaza and the downside. Right lane is blocked by construction. Into South Jersey, not looking bad on 42 or 55. 295 is moving freely. In Cherry Hill, 38 eastbound is jammed. Cuthbert Boulevard into Longwood Avenue. Crash takes out the left lane, just the right lane squeezing by.
United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plans come with a lot to take advantage of. Visit AdvantageWow.com to learn more. That's AdvantageWow.com to learn more about United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plans.
For more traffic information, log on to SigAlert.com. I'm Brendan Joseph with your Philadelphia area traffic.
WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now.
Tune in on YouTube at onWURD
or on Facebook at ForWord.
WURD TV.
Black Talk Media. You're listening to Evening Words, hosted by Nick Taliaferro, exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Ladies and gentlemen, I live by the rule that people who disagree with me are educational for me, and they help me to think in ways that I would not ordinarily think. So when Paul calls in and he says that I'm a Trump supporter, and he tells me why he is helping me. Now, whether or not I agree with him or not, that's secondary. The fact is that if I agree with him, then I will take an analytical approach to what he says, and I will say, okay, here's why I agree. And if I don't, he will sharpen me by helping me to better explicate my own disagreements, my own reasons for being in opposition to his points and his values. And so I listened to him carefully. I listened to him as he talked about Joe Biden. And let's be honest, Joe Biden has been caught lying. He's been caught plagiarizing, and they caught him when he said that he graduated in the top % of his class, and he had not. And I get that. A lot of people lie when they feel that it will make them better or when it will absolve them from some type of guilt or pain or recrimination. When that happens, I chalk that up to moral weakness and turpitude. Donald Trump lies differently from that. Donald Trump is pathological. He will look at a blue sky and say that sky is paisley print. and then he will challenge you to fight him, and then he will make laws that will say that the sky is paved with print because of his own narcissism. I mean, his lying is psychopathological. It's different. But anyhow, I asked him to move away from taking Biden to task and to move towards telling us why he supported Trump. And he talked about the economy, he talked about the military, and he talked about how Mr. Trump has handled the coronavirus. I'm not exactly sure how my friend Paul, and I call him that because I regard him that way, I'm not sure how my friend Paul could say that Donald Trump has handled the coronavirus with any skill at all when even his own people, Fauci and others, I remember when they shut out the Surgeon General, the African-American general and the Surgeon General, because they didn't like what he said on one of the morning shows. His own people have disagreed with the way he has handled that. He has caused the spread of the diseases. And then the military, how he can say that the military, how he's helped the military when he eviscerated the intelligence community by basically saying to them in the presence of Vladimir Putin that, well, Putin said this and my intelligence community said the other, but I can't see how Putin is lying, so it must be my intelligence community. He has repudiated his own intelligence community and then weakened the military community by reportedly calling them suckers. I mean, the military community is not behind him. Now, you might have a few rank and file, but the generals, whom he said he was smarter than, they certainly are not with him. And then last but not least, the economy. He inherited a booming economy that was on the way up, that he then began to mortgage so that his millionaire friends could benefit from tax breaks. And of course, now we are looking at it tumbling steeply and starkly downward. I don't think I support that, but let's take a look at Adam in South Philly. Adam, I got a few minutes. I want to get you in before we get to the top of the hour. At the top of the hour, we'll catch up with Valerie Jarrett. Trust me, folks, don't go away. We're going to get that interview for you. But let's go to Adam real quick. Adam, you're up. What's on your mind?
Hi, I like to tackle a few of the talking points you're talking to. I'm a Donald Trump supporter. And
oh my God, this is a great day for me.
I disagree with some of your analysis on some of the stuff he's done. Specifically, we could tackle one by one, like you said, the military.
Yeah.
So on the military side, right now, the first time since World War II, we have less soldiers overseas. And also, right now, as the last three presidents, Donald Trump has less than 1,000 casualties for military armament. I think Barack Obama had close to 5,000. George Bush had close to, I think, 7,000 combat deaths overseas. Where Donald Trump took us out of them wars. He ended ISIS. He basically went really hard. He went really hard on North Korea.
Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at that. Drawing down on our troops does not necessarily say that we have improved our military. It may actually say that we have weakened our military because the existence of our troops in other places based on treaties and agreements that we have with other nations. What is known is that Donald Trump has taken a cavalier approach to the treaties and agreements that have existed. Now, the other one about casualties is based on the fact that we entered into an ill-advised war, and Barack Obama inherited that ill-advised war.
Correct.
And so there was a slow diminishing of casualties as we tried to, extricate ourselves from that war. And finally, years later, Donald Trump inherits that full extrication. So we're pretty much out of it. But that's not an improvement on anything.
Yes, it is, because he transcended our military. You understand, our military, we're going from, let's say, boots on the ground type of military into basically a cyber war military, to where we're getting hit every day with infrastructure attacks all over the world, from China, from Russia. He upgraded us in order, obviously, he sent a commercial out. It wasn't even a conventional military commercial where basically these people are behind computers fighting wars that me and you, nor people can see that are on TV. They're not wars that we see. Conventional wars.
Do you really perceive that Donald Trump is the innovator and the of this approach?
I think Donald Trump fired all his war generals, like like Flynn, all these generals that are coming out now and criticizing
Donald Trump didn't fire Flynn. Donald Trump hired Flynn.
Wrong person. I'm sorry. The last general, they just wrote a book about him. I apologize.
Okay.
But these were all,
no problem.
who was he? Bolton, right? Bolton. These were all war generals. These were all warmongers. And he didn't learn because he wasn't a first-time politician. He got in the door his first year. If you remember, the Republicans were against him. He couldn't get nothing because his own party was against him. So he didn't understand politics. He learned as he goes. Should every politician know politics before getting in? Absolutely, they should. But he didn't. He had to step behind on everybody. However, he learned, and he fired all them generals that were around him, all the people that were put in place that he didn't know of and what they were doing behind the scenes. These are the people that wanted us to go boots on the ground in Syria, boots on the ground in North Korea, and he took us away from them. And remember his first few months in office, he was basically we're going to go to war with North Korea, scared the hell out of them. And then what happened was, with the peace treaty, is this dude the most friendliest guy in the world? Absolutely not. However, he handles them in a fashion that me and you wouldn't think is the right way, but he's doing it correctly. But other than that, I like to get off the topic of military because I think he's doing a hell of a job like that. But we go in the economy.
I've only got 30 seconds left, but I'm listening to you because, as I say before, listening to people who disagree with me helped me to sharpen my thinking one way or the other. But your thinking is that he improved the military by sharpening our strategic use of technology, and that by drawing down on the troops, he has strengthened our military as well.
Really, the military was the last thing I want to talk about. I really wanted to talk about Joe Biden and all his flaws he has as a candidate.
Well, the unfortunate thing is that I'm out of time on that one, but I wanted to get you before we got to the top of the hour. I tell you what, on Wednesday, we'll be coming back and take another bite of this apple. I want to thank you so much for listening to us. But Adam, I see that completely different from you, but respectful people can disagree respectfully. We'll take this quick pause. It's now just about a minute away from the hour, 5 o'clock, the 5 o'clock hour. We'll check and catch up with Valerie Jarrett, and then we'll continue our conversation with you right here, WURD 900 AM, 96.1 FM.
We've all heard people say this election is the most important of our lifetime. Let's remember why that's true. Under the Trump presidency, racism has found a tragic new normal, emboldened by a president who has demonstrated disrespect and disregard for our communities while embracing and protecting white supremacists. While the coronavirus was taking our family members from us, Donald Trump deceived the nation by withholding information that could have saved lives. He protected himself instead of protecting us. Our economy is in shambles, our children's education jeopardized, and the Trump administration is in court right now trying to take away our health care. This has to end. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the leaders we need to chart a path toward opportunity, justice, and healing. From affordable health care to quality education and jobs, there's only one choice to move us forward. Vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Paid for by Black PAC and Priorities USA Action, blackpac.com and prioritiesUSAaction.org, which are responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Right now, the health and financial security of voters over 50 are on the line. That's why AARP Pennsylvania is fighting for your voice to be heard. AARP Pennsylvania wants to make sure that you know all of your voting options and that all Americans can vote safely, whether they choose to vote from home or in person. To learn more about your voting options, visit aarp.org/PA votes. Paid for by AARP.
Hello, Philadelphia. This is Ryan Boyer, the business manager of Labor's District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity, and I'm urging you, your family, your friends, your neighbors, and anyone you know that's registered to vote in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to vote on November the 3rd. Voting is vital and essential to our survival. Everything is on the ballot. How do we handle coronavirus, virtual learning, education, roads, bridges, jobs? Everything is on the ballot. We must vote November the 3rd. And always remember, the more you vote, the more you get. Please vote on November the 3rd.
Don't forget to tune into Labor's Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. on WURD, WURD.
I'm Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and this message is for the sisters. We wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, aunties and daughters, teachers, community leaders, and CEOs. We rise to the occasion every day. We're good at it too. And now, more than ever, we need to do what we do. Show up and show out this election. to organize, to make those calls and get out the vote, to stand up for our families and our communities, just like you do every single day, every single time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are counting on us, and we know that we can count on them.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Hi, this is the actress Celia Ward. Election day is coming up, and making sure that our votes are counted is just as critical as casting the ballot. Any voter can vote by mail by using a mail-in ballot, but please follow the instructions carefully. After you fill out your ballot, you place it in the white envelope labeled official ballot. Your ballot won't be counted if it's not in this envelope. Put the white envelope into the pre-addressed outer return envelope, sign, seal that pre-addressed return envelope, and sign the declaration on the envelope. Return your ballot by mail or by hand delivering it to your County Board of Election office or dropping it off at a designated drop box location. This year's been hard, losing loved ones, jobs, class time, more shootings of unarmed black people. So your vote, our vote, is part of making things better. And remember, the election isn't over until every vote is counted.
Paid for by the Leadership Center for Attorney General Studies.
Keeping you informed
about Tuesday's election.
This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Streaming live on WURDradio.com, the WURD Radio app, and watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube.
WURD Radio, independent black media. WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now.
Tune in on YouTube at onWURD
or on Facebook at ForWord.
WURD TV.
Black Talk Media. You're listening to Evening Words, hosted by Nick Taliaferro, exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Back with you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank all of our callers who have taken the time to call in thus far. A couple of callers to call in who told me why they supported Trump, and I've got to tell you, I am the kind of guy who appreciates folks who have their own how should we say it? They have their own opinion, their own thoughts, and that's okay. And I disagree with them. The last caller made mention of the fact that Donald Trump has improved our military by drawing down our troops from other places around the world. I've always been a person who thought that we had too many troops stationed in other places around the world. Many times those troops were stationed in these other places, and the folks didn't really like them. I was in Okinawa, and I know that the folks in Okinawa, which is an island off the coast, off the mainland of Japan, really couldn't stand some of the bases that were there. And there are times when we need to pack up and leave and come on back home. But the real truth of the matter is that Donald Trump has a great disdain for the other. He is the kind of person who, for example, the nuclear, the agreements that we had in place about greenhouse gas and other things. You know, Donald Trump is the kind of person who stands alone, is willing to go it alone. And when it came to some of the military agreements that we have, he had no problem breaking them, just like he jumped out of the World Health Organization. He just, that's just what he does. It's not a strategy to make our military better. It is simply his way of saying, hey, we'll save some money and stop being beholden to other people. His narcissism and his self-possession is dangerous, I perceive. And both of these callers admitted that he is not the kind of person that you might want to have a cup of tea with. He is a banal and boorish individual. But in talking about his policies, and I know some people who think that he has great policies, and I just don't see them. I can't see them. I don't, his economic moves led to the richest 1% of the country doing better. It's almost like a glorified trickle-down theory that Reagan at once advanced, but it didn't do anything for people who really needed help, or for the nation even. But that's just my thinking. All right, we'll get to the phone lines now, have some more conversation. We'll go to a lady who joins our conversation because, after all, ladies should be first. Benita in Mount Airy. And then, look, we'll catch up with Valerie Jarrett. I'll give you a direct time. When we get to 1:15, we'll do our interview with Valerie Jarrett. All right, Benita in Mount Airy, you're up. Thank you for calling Evening Words with Nick.
Well, thank you so very much for taking my call.
Sure.
I just had to call. I'm a regular listener, listen almost every day, especially between the hours of 1 through 4, and then from your time frame from 5 and so forth on. I just could not take it any longer listening to the Trump supporters.
Wait, you're not calling to support Trump?
No, I am absolutely not calling to support Trump.
Okay.
And I was actually calling to say why I realize that you are a very open-minded person and want to be very fair to everyone. I just felt like at that particular time, they were using up valuable time as to that time that could be utilized for more information to get out to the black community and the importance of getting out tomorrow if they have not, or if we have not already done so.
Well, I got to tell you, Benita, I think having them on was a great deal of encouragement to get people out to vote tomorrow. Don't you think so?
Well, in a matter of sense, it would be a sense of encouraging them, but I just felt like, in my opinion, of course, it just was a waste of time, and there's so much important stuff that has to be said. And I learned from my father many, 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 many years ago that you cannot make reason with a fool. You can talk until your tongue falls out of your mouth, until your eyes drop out, and so forth, and you will not be able to change a mind of a person.
See, but okay, this is where we might cross swords gently. Because a person disagrees with me, I am hesitant to call them a fool. I will say they disagree with me, and I might say I don't see the way. I don't think you're making any sense. But you know, one of the things we have to do in this country is to restore some level of civility that allows people to disagree without becoming my enemy.
I agree with that. I agree with that 100% and so forth, that you don't want to become what you dislike. And it takes a lot to fight against that, not to become what you dislike. However, because we're at the 11th hour and every minute counts, I don't think no matter what we say about Trump, we will not get a Trump believer to change their mind, no matter how much we try to counteract.
I think you might be right.
And so forth is that. So just as of today, and I can say before I'm a regular listener, but I just said, it's too much to be said at this particular time, and I just didn't feel it was important, as I said before, not making a judgment on you. You're a very open-minded person, very knowledgeable, and so forth, is that valuable time was being lost, that we're not going to make no progress whatsoever trying to change the mind of a Trump person. So like the Reverend Barber said, it's 80 million, I think was his number. I know it's 80 million folks. That's what he has as backers. So that leaves a whole lot of us that can go against that 80 million to try to bring something back that looks like it's halfway civil in these days and times.
Well, Benita, I appreciate your calling to inspire the rest of us to make sure that we don't go to sleep on this one.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, my sister.
Thank you so very much.
You're welcome, and thanks for listening. You know, one of the things, and I think Benita's right, people joke about the fact that the undecided voter in this election is almost non-existent. People have made up their minds. The question now is whether or not people will move past their apathy to express the fact that they've made up their minds. Let's take one more call, because I promised you I would get to Valerie Jarrett before we get to our first break. We go now to Tyrone in North Philadelphia. Tyrone, thank you for your call and welcome to the show.
Hey, Brother Nick. How you doing?
Hey, man, how are you?
Look, first of all, man, I want to commend you on the show Wednesday Thursday, connecting with the folks in Chicago. You know, I really thought that was provocative, and I just,
I'm going to take as much of that credit as I can, but really it goes to our program director, Dee Patel, who who put that together, and she did a fine job doing it, and I enjoyed myself.
And I'm telling you, the brother and the sister, you know, Philadelphia and then the Chicago connected when they was talking about human labor and human capital. That, you know, we've been investing in everything but people. I really thought that that's key in terms of Sultan Ahmed's proposal of creating the human capital bond. We have to do something along that way of thinking, Brother Nick. And excuse me, first of all, peace and blessings to you, and much love and respect to my WURD family. I'm sorry, I always got to greet. But you know, Nick, I think the sister was right about you can't change anybody's mind. But I think what you were doing was talking about us being civil, creating a civility, amongst us, because it just seemed as though the president continues to want to incite and entice this volatile nature of folks. And I think that that's going to really create some real difficulties in this, especially in this climate, you know, where people are struggling, you know, to pay bills. People are losing their homes, you know, losing their way of I mean, folks are already in a state of flux. And then here we want to put violence on top of it. You know, it's really going to create some I don't know what's the right word, but it's going to create some havoc.
Our president is not a healthy human being, and I offer this not as Nick Taliaferro's perspective, and I thank you for that, Tyrone. I mean, you know, there was a group of psychologists during the first election who came out and said that even though we have sort of taken an oath that says we will not diagnose anyone without actually having had the chance to sit with them, we feel that we're duty bound to tell you how dangerous this man is. And they delivered a report about the danger of Donald Trump. He is a dangerous person. His mockery of others, his willingness to exploit, and his willingness to objectify, like he said about the woman. When I see a woman, I just start kissing her. I moved on her like a bee, you know, and they let you do anything. I mean, that exploitative mindset is always there, and he's a dangerous human being from what I can see and what I can tell. And even most recently, in the guest we had last week, David K. Johnston, in his book, The Making of Donald Trump, he talks about the sickness that existed in the family that led to the making of what we now have as our president. He described Donald Trump's father, Fred, as a monster, you know, callous, unsympathetic, non-compassionate. And then Donald Trump's own niece, who is a psychologist, wrote about it. I mean, we have someone who's dangerous. What disturbs me more is that there are so many people who see this man and somehow or another view him as being a healthy paradigm of leadership for this nation. That is not what I don't know. That's what I don't understand. Okay, look, folks, I promise. I thank you, Tyrone, for that one. But we're going to take a quick segue now, because we had an opportunity to speak with a woman who lived and worked just a heartbeat away from the former president of the United States, Barack Obama. Valerie Jarrett was the senior advisor to President Barack Obama. She is an attorney in her own right. She grew up over in Persia, in Iran, because her father was there as a medical professional when she was just a child. A brilliant woman, but she wrote a book called Finding My Own Voice, where she talked about what it meant and how challenging it was for her to discover and find her own voice. For the next few moments, we want to share with you the few words that we shared with her as she encourages us to get ready to vote tomorrow in this election. Herewith, Eric, if you'd be so kind, our interview with Valerie Jarrett. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank Ms. Valerie Jarrett for joining us today. For those of you who don't happen to know her, and if you've been hiding in a cave for the last few, she was the senior advisor to U.S. President Barack Obama, and also the author of the stunning book, Finding My Voice. Ms. Jarrett, thank you for joining us at WURD.
It is a pleasure to be with you on this historic one day before the election ends.
I am hoping that it is historic indeed. And before I even ask you any other question, let me get your take on the tenor and tone of this election compared to others that you've seen. And you've seen some, because you're from Chicago, where they said vote early and vote often. So.
Well, no, don't hold that against us. That was only meant in jest, but it is a kind of a rough and tumble election location in Chicago. But this is really quite different, and I think part of the reason why I am such a strong supporter of Vice President Biden and Senator Harris is because the tone that they will bring to our country is one that is good and full of integrity and character and wanting to pull us together as opposed to polarizing us. And we've seen so much toxicity in the air over the last 4 years, and I think I, for one, am just exhausted with that. And as I travel around the country and now virtually, Keith, I will tell you, I think most Americans are just good people. They love their neighbor. They want everyone to do well. They do not want to look for what makes us different, but rather what makes us the same. And so I'm hoping that what we're seeing in the record numbers of people who've been showing up for early vote and voting by mail is a resounding victory for Joe Biden. But we still have 2 days left, and so I don't want anybody, particularly in Pennsylvania and in Philadelphia, this is no time to rest on our laurels, because we know that elections always tighten at the end, and so everyone should vote.
You are a veteran at this. I mean, you're the longest serving staffer for a president. And so when you see this White House, you can look behind the scenes and discern some of the dysfunction that most of us could not see. From your perspective, when you look at the Trump administration, what are the dysfunctions that are revealed to you based on your experience of having been a senior advisor?
Well, I'll tell you, Keith, tone starts at the top. And one of the strengths of President Obama and Vice President Biden is that they had a disciplined, orderly process for their policies, for their plans, for legislation. They went through a rigorous process, and issues were vetted fully before they were presented to them. And then it was our job as the senior advisors to the team to make coherent recommendations based on facts and evidence. And we were a team, and we were focusing on you, the American people, each and every day. And that's the message that we got from both President Obama and Vice President Biden. And I haven't seen that, frankly, over the last 4 years. Just look at this pandemic that we know has wreaked havoc. Over 230,000 people in our country have died. The disproportionate impact in the Black community in terms of health outcomes, the number of people who are essential workers who are out there every day trying to keep us safe, whether they're in healthcare or public transportation or the grocery stores, the folks who are delivering our foods and goods, all of them put unnecessarily in harm's way, because the pandemic playbook that we gave the Trump administration when we left, based on our experiences dealing with Zika and H1N1 and Ebola, they just tossed it in the garbage can. And this sense of wishing it away and hoping for the best, and I don't know how many times he said, we're turning the corner, and yet yesterday we had a record number of infections. And I think the American people are seeing through that. And they are, their lives and their livelihood have been put unnecessarily at risk. Our deaths are disproportionately higher than any other country. Why is that? Well, because of the tone that's set at the top.
Wow. One of the things about this president is that he takes a feckless approach to addressing the truth. He tends to, let's just put it out there, he tends to lie. And in his lying, he puts people at risk. One of the things that he has said is that he has created an economy that is better than any president ever. You, of course, were part of the administration of Barack Obama, who left us a great economy. Is there anything that he is saying that even resembles the truth about his ability to generate a positive economy for the United States, or is that a total and complete
No, he was basically coasting on the coattails of the extraordinary economy that President Obama left him. In the last 3 years of the Obama administration, we generated more jobs than President Trump did in the first 3 years before the COVID-19 even hurt our economy. And now he's going to be the first president since Herbert Hoover that has lost jobs on his watch. So no, and in fact, I'd like to say that had we gotten our arms around this COVID-19 early on, the way many other countries did, our economy would be doing far better than it is now, and millions of people would not have lost their jobs. And I don't think that the stock market is the right barometer for how the economy is doing. The right barometer is how many people have jobs, how many people are underemployed, how many people can't put food on their table for their children, how many people are trying to juggle, if they have a job, homeschooling their children while they're trying to work, or sending them to school and not knowing if they're going to contract the virus and bring it home to themselves and to the elderly people who live with them. And so, no, the economy did far, far better under President Obama because of what we did, led by Vice President Biden, I might add, on the Recovery Act at the front end, the rules of the road we put in place with Dodd-Frank that kept banks from taking excessive risk on the backs of taxpayers, and the diligent effort and the certainty that we provided to the business community so that they could expand and grow. And that has not happened under President Trump.
Two more questions, because I know that you're on a very tight schedule, and then we'd like for you to give the appeal. Question number one, Pennsylvania, this is Philadelphia. The 12.9% of the voters of Pennsylvania are right here in Philadelphia. Give us the pitch, because we're the keystone state, and we might be the pivotal state in this election. Can you give us some encouragement as to how important our vote might be tomorrow?
Every vote matters. Your vote is your voice. It's how you participate in our democracy. And if you want a president who is competent, who has character, integrity, who has empathy, who knows what it's like to struggle from the struggles his family experienced in Scranton when he was a youngster, if you want somebody who knows how to be empathetic and connect with the American people, and who will wake up every single day thinking about you and only about you, not about himself, who is not thin-skinned, who can take a punch and knows that it is a job of the person at the top to set a tone, and knows that our children are watching and will tell you the truth, even when it hurts. He will be honest and direct with the American people. And Joe Biden is your guy.
Last but not least, you led a transition team. This current president said that if he loses, he doesn't plan on going anywhere. Do we have anything to fear about his intransigence about leaving the White House should he happen to no longer be its occupant?
Yeah, I'm not worried about him leaving. He'll leave. But what I am worried about is the message that he's sending to his supporters. We just saw over the weekend, a Biden bus in Texas being surrounded by a bunch of Trump supporters to run it off the road. We've seen the kind of rhetoric where he's encouraging his supporters to show up the polls and watch over the elections. In a sense, the person who says he's a law and order president is encouraging behavior that is not lawful behavior. And so I worry about, will his supporters become violent and egged on by the president? And so I would appeal to the president to, no matter what the outcome is, to encourage your supporters to support a peaceful transition of power if that's what happens. Because that's what our country has always done. It's what it always should do. It is the hallmark of a democracy. And he alone is capable of calming down his supporters should he lose, and encouraging them to support Vice President Biden.
We've been speaking with Ms. Valerie Jarrett, who is former senior advisor to President Barack Obama. Ms. Jarrett, thank you so much for your time and all that you're doing. And I must tell you that you may have enjoyed the White House, but being out of it makes you look as though you are so refreshed. You look so relaxed.
Well, you know what? It's a hard job, and it should be taken seriously. This is not something to be done lightly. We need serious people because we have challenges ahead. It was the honor of my lifetime to serve, and now I look forward to seeing the next generation of young folks, many of who grew up in the Biden-Obama administration, taking charge.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jarrett, and have a pleasant day, and all the best to you.
Stay safe.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Valerie Jarrett, good conversation with a very decent woman, and she's out working hard to make sure that this election doesn't look like the last one. And we were glad that she spent a few moments with us here at WURD. You're listening to Evening Words with Nick at 900 AM and 96.1 FM. When we come back, We'll continue our conversation with you right here on your favorite conversation station. Stay with us.
The pandemic is not only putting everyone's health at risk, it's also impacted our jobs and retirement security. And it's disproportionately affecting African Americans, especially those 50 plus. That's why AARP Pennsylvania is fighting for your voice to be heard. If you haven't voted yet, now is the time to learn about your voting options and cast your ballot. We're working to make sure you can vote safely, whether you choose to vote from home or in person. And if you choose to vote by mail, make sure you return your ballot using both envelopes. Your ballot goes in the smaller envelope for secrecy, and that goes into the larger envelope for mailing. Also, don't forget to sign the voter declaration on the back. Your voice matters. Make sure it's heard. Go to aarp.org/PA-votes to learn about your voting options and how to vote safely this election. Visit aarp.org/PA-votes today. Paid for by AARP.
We've all heard it, that friend or relative who doesn't vote because they say the system is fixed or that it doesn't matter. They don't care that people have died to secure the right to vote. They don't care that the politicians we elect through voting determine everything from how much money your kid's school will get to how much you pay in taxes, from how clean the air you breathe and the water you drink are, to the policies that govern the police that are supposed to protect you, whether working class families can pay their bills, whether you'll have access to funding to build a business, and how labor unions can protect the rights of their members. If these aren't enough reasons to get out and vote, then think about this. If your vote is so meaningless, why are there people out there trying to keep you from casting it? But seriously, if the past 3.5 years haven't convinced you how important it is to vote, then nothing I say, nothing you hear will convince you. So just vote. You can do it through early or mail-in ballots, or you can do it on November the 3rd. But just do it. This message is brought to you by the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, Philadelphia chapter.
Remember when Trump defended neo-Nazis?
You also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Or downplayed the coronavirus?
It's going to disappear one day. It's like a miracle.
It's time to fire politicians who failed us and elect leaders who will fight systemic racism, have a plan to beat the coronavirus, and will address bias in our healthcare system. This election, remember whose side Trump is on, not yours. Request a ballot now. Make a plan to vote. Our lives depend on it. Paid for by the NAACP.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
I'm Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and this message is for the sisters. We wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, aunties and daughters, teachers, community leaders, and CEOs. We rise to the occasion every day. We're good at it too. And now, more than ever, we need to do what we do. Show up and show out this election. To organize, to make those calls and get out the vote, to stand up for our families and our communities, just like you do every single day, every single time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are counting on us, and we know that we can count on them.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Hi, this is the actress Celia Ward. Election day is coming up, and making sure that our votes are counted is just as critical as casting the ballot. Any voter can vote by mail by using a mail-in ballot, but please follow the instructions carefully. After you fill out your ballot, you place it in the white envelope labeled official ballot. Your ballot won't be counted if it's not in this envelope. Put the white envelope into the pre-addressed outer return envelope, sign, seal that pre-addressed return envelope, and sign the declaration on the envelope. Return your ballot by mail or by hand delivering it to your County Board of Election office or dropping it off at a designated drop box location. This year's been hard, losing loved ones, jobs, class time, more shootings of unarmed black people. So your vote, our vote, is part of making things better. And remember, the election isn't over until every vote is counted.
Paid for by the Leadership Center for Attorney General Studies.
Hello, I'm former Mayor John Street.
And I'm Mayor Street's son, Senator Sharif Street.
You know, I've been out here fighting for what's right for a long, long time, but I can't think of an election more important than the one that's happening right now.
We all know we have to vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, but we also have a couple of hometown heroes that we need to elect.
Nina Ahmad served as the City of Philadelphia Deputy Mayor, and it would be a welcome change to have a strong woman of color go to Harrisburg to fight for all of us.
We also have working class hero John Kane running for state senate. He's a blue-collar guy ready to fight for better-paying jobs and accessible health care. I'd love to have John Kane join me in the state senate.
This election is just too important. So when you go out, vote for Joe and Kamala.
Don't forget to vote for Nina Ahmad for Auditor General and John Kane for State Senator.
This message is paid for by the Friends of Sharif Street.
Now, a traffic update
on WURD Radio.
Busy in spots on the Philly roads. This report is sponsored by United Healthcare. Schuylkill Expressway westbound jamming up University to 30th Street. That through the construction. Left lane is blocked. Further west on the Schuylkill, heavy from City to Belmont, then Gladwin out to 476. Again, King of Prussia out to 202. Eastbound Schuylkill Expressway jamming up 476 down to Belmont, then you're slow from Montgomery into Spring Garden. On the Vine Expressway westbound, jam traffic 8th Street into the Schuylkill. Eastbound Vine looking good at the moment. 95 as you head northbound. Stop and go from the Betsy Ross Bridge to Bridge Street. Southbound 95, jamming from Cottman to Bridge through construction. One lane is blocked, then it jams again the Betsy Ross Bridge into Girard. Boulevard northbound, that's jamming up as you go from the Schuylkill Expressway to Wissahickon Avenue. No big delays on the bridges over the Delaware River. Through South Jersey, 295 southbound, jamming 30 into 42. 42 southbound, heavy in pockets anywhere from the Walt Whitman Bridge into 295.
United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plans come with a lot to take advantage of. Visit AdvantageWow.com to learn more. That's AdvantageWow.com to learn more about United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plans.
For more traffic information, log on to SIGAlert.com. I'm Brendan Joseph with your Philadelphia area traffic.
WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now.
Tune in on YouTube at onWURD
or on Facebook at ForWord.
WURD TV.
Black Talk Media. You're listening to Evening Words,
hosted by Nick Taliaferro,
exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Hey boy, I'm gonna tell you, this is so much fun. This program today is so much fun. If I weren't working, I'd be listening to this program. Honest to goodness, I'm telling you the truth. I lie to you not. All right, folks, it's now 25 minutes away from the hour of 6 o'clock. In the 6 o'clock hour, we're going to take you to a conversation about a story that will blow your mind. It's a story about how the United States Justice Department twisted and bent their own laws to make a federal case out of virtually nothing, and what they're trying to do to a young man all the way across the state in Erie, Pennsylvania. We will be joined by two individuals who will help to make this case really plain for us. One is Anjali Kamat, who is a senior reporter at Reveal, which is an investigative journalistic outlet for Public Radio International, and Charles Sawabi, who is an attorney who is representing a gentleman by the name of Melquan Barnett. It is a story that will make you just shake your head. And here's the other part about it. Even though Melquan Barnett is in Erie, my understanding is that the feds are doing the same thing in Philadelphia. More about that in the 6 o'clock hour when Anjali Kamat comes to you and we talk about the Justice Department and their injustices. All right, let's see if we can get back to it. Giving priority to those callers who are first-time callers so that we can kind of enrich our voices here at WURD Radio, and I don't think we have any. So we'll get back to the callers that we have, whether they're first or second or third-time callers. Jacob and Alney, you're up next. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, Nicholas B. Taliaferro. How you doing?
Yes. Nothing like a good initial to make you sound like you got more money than you got.
Well, that's right. You have riches untold. But you know, Nick, driving home, man, that was a couple of good calls there. That you know, I'm just saying, really, you know, you gotta, like I said, we gotta understand that I talked to a black guy who was about a shade darker than Clarence Thomas, and he was a Trump supporter, right? So, but here's the deal. So it's not all my white. I mean,
look at Lil Wayne.
Yes. But you know what? I see that they all drank the Kool-Aid, though. You know, and one thing I do know, Nick, is that the truth of the matter should set them free if they would accept it. Now, the white guys, Paul and the other one that called, they were saying things that were totally not true. They can't accept the fact that a black man, Barack Hussein Obama, President of the United States for 2 terms, saved America and put it on a good course, right? They won't examine that truth because they don't want to accept the fact that this black man did this. Of course, Trump took credit for everything that he said. They talking about the Putin. If oh my God, if Obama would have stood before Putin and put down his own people, he would have been tried for treason by now. And if he would have had a special bank account in China, right? Whatever this guy does. Now, look what I told the brother, and I'm done, Nick. I told the brother, I said, I respect your right to vote for who you want, right? And I said, you know, you have that right, but I'm going to tell you, I have a right to view you in a certain way, and I'm going to tell you this, and I'm done. And after that, brother, I shared my food with him, right? Because it looked like he was a little bunchy this morning. I said, I view you in the same way I would view a person, a Jewish person who supported Adolf Hitler. And I don't need to say anything else about that. You can't change my way of thinking, and I'm not going to try to change your way. But I view you as somebody like that.
I appreciate it, man. I tell you, it is. For example, you heard the advertisement, and I thank you for that one, Jacob. There have been advertisements on this station for Donald Trump, and it's the law. You have to allow people to advertise on your station. It is the law, and I'm glad that we're a law-abiding station. And sometimes you hear them, and you just say to yourself, "Wow." Herschel Walker just came on and talked about how my good friend Donald Trump and all. Okay, so that's what he says. I mean, the deal is this. I think that Donald Trump is reprehensible. I would not really, and I mean this sincerely. If I needed someone to watch my dog, to be, to kind of take care of my dog, I would not hire Donald Trump, knowing him as I do, because I find him to be amoral, non-empathetic, non-compassionate. His humanity quotient is low from my perspective. But there are people who like him. I want to know why they like him. We had a couple of folks to call in earlier to explain it. And even though I disagree with them heartily and passionately, I respect the fact that they have that opinion. Now, when it gets to the point where you start thinking that your opinion ought to be mine, and if it isn't mine, that you ought to force me, then that's a problem. Just as much as a problem the other way around. If I say I've got to force other people. So there are black people who like Trump. Let them do so. Ben Carson likes him, obviously. Let them do so. But I disagree. We're going to go on to our next call. Rosalind in Kensington, thank you for the call. Welcome to the program.
Yes, my brother, always a great show. Number one, if I renew my membership, do I get my hoodie? Because I couldn't get nobody on the phone earlier, so I had to wait till you. I talked to Andrea, and she said she would get back to me, but nobody called me back, so I want my, because I know it's the last day.
Well, I tell you what, now, but the fact that you have called and put it out there in the public square, I will stand for you against all odds.
But another thing, we have to understand.
Sing it with me. And then a hero comes along. Yeah, you'll get that hoodie.
The devil is always busy. All church forms and that. And the thing is, like they stood for the Million Man March, them the brothers we need up on the pole. The women march, them the people you need up on the pole. Because I'm going to tell you, this was a white people neighborhood in Richmond. You wasn't even, black folks wasn't even allowed around here, but we got a lot of homeowners. But for the Puerto Ricans that I do know, and I know this radio and I say something as a great-grandma, great-great-grandma, and I knew what my aunt, and guess what? And I'm not prejudiced because my grandma's mom was white, her mom was white, and my daddy's mom was white. I mean, mother was white. So when it comes to me, and I got white people in my family, I got Puerto Ricans, I got Cubans, and I have raised a lot of men in Philadelphia and been around the horn and back again. We do not stick together. We shouldn't even be at to beg nobody to vote. If you ain't got your house in order, then how you gonna have your village in order?
I think we do stick together. I think we have to stop beating up ourselves. I mean, if black people didn't stick together, then the Birmingham bus boycott would have never held. If black people didn't stick together, then the protests here in Philadelphia that led to Seal Test and Wonder Bread and all of these other stores and Lit Brothers and all integrating would not have happened when Leon Sullivan was here. You know, we do stick together. I mean, everybody doesn't stick together in every group anywhere. But when it comes down to it, the African American progress in this country has been almost miraculous. And it was built on the commitment, the strength, the courage, and the willingness to stick together of people of African descent who were brought over here having been enslaved, and who fought their way out of the ironclad affliction of slavery. We need to give ourselves some credit for that.
But I'm just saying, we're at the last day. Everybody going Twitter, MySpace. First of all, the president is crazy. He needs some Xannies or some kind of bipolar medicine, because I'm bipolar schizophrenic too. If he can run for president, so can I. And let me tell you something about a lot of Italians and white people. They like cook. Bottom line, I know them backwards and frontwards. I lived around them, I grew up around them, and that's how they are.
Now, who are you talking about now?
Caucasians, I can put it like that.
So now you know how all Caucasians are?
Not all of them. I meant to say a lot of them.
How many?
Let me rephrase that. Because, see, you be precise on every word, every
No. The point I'm trying to make is... The point I'm trying to make... The only point I'm trying to make, Rosalind, is this. Is if you turned on the radio and you heard a white person say, I lived around black people and I know how they are, you would call that station and you would protest and say you need to take that person off the air because what they said was racist. Wouldn't you do that?
Oh, yeah, I would, yeah. Because I got a heart. I'm a mother, grandma, great-great-grandma. I got a heart.
Yeah, but...
anybody do anything.
But so the point... And Rosalind, I want to thank you for this call. The point I'm trying to make is, because we got to take a break, the point I'm trying to make is this, and that is, when you, my friend Sincerely Sarita says it, taste your words before you serve them. When you say something, ask yourself, how would I respond if I heard that coming out of the mouth of my perceived enemy? And so when you say something like, I lived around those people and I know how they are, that is a prejudicial statement. It is something that I cannot allow to go unchallenged, because we are trying to build a better community here at WURD. We're trying to build a more thoughtful community. We're trying to build a community where justice and equity are commonplace, and where we treat each other the way, a wiser man than me once said, do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. I don't think I can do any better than that. We'll take a quick break and then we'll come back and continue our conversation. The time is flying by. It's 6 o'clock. We're going to get into a discussion about a story that you pretty much would not believe about your Justice Department. Stay with us, folks. WURD 900 AM 96.1 FM. I'm Nick, and this is Evening Words.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you sick of trying to cut and style your own hair and the rest of your family? Well, McLean's Unisex Salon in Mount Airy is open for business. We've been a neighborhood institution for more than 50 years, with styles for men, women, and kids. We have new partitions and social distancing measures to keep everyone safe while keeping the welcoming feel you've come to expect from your neighborhood shop. Visit us online at mcleansunisex.com or call now to make an appointment, 215-844-9826.
Hi, I'm Keir Bradford Gray, the Chief Defender of the Defender Association of Philadelphia. I've spent my career helping to reform our criminal justice system by advancing client-centered representation that empowers our communities to be stronger and safer. Our communities are still over-policed and under-resourced. This year, accountability is on the ballot, and we can finally have the community police oversight that we desperately need.
Paid for by Black Vote PA, which is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.theelectionisnow.com.
Hi, this is the actress Celia Ward. Election day is coming up, and making sure that our votes are counted is just as critical as casting the ballot. Any voter can vote by mail by using a mail-in ballot, but please follow the instructions carefully. After you fill out your ballot, you place it in the white envelope labeled official ballot. Your ballot won't be counted if it's not in this envelope. Put the white envelope into the pre-addressed outer return envelope, sign, seal that pre-addressed return envelope, and sign the declaration on the envelope. Return your ballot by mail or by hand delivering it to your County Board of Election office or dropping it off at a designated drop box location. This year's been hard, losing loved ones, jobs, class time, more shootings of unarmed Black people. So your vote, our vote, is part of making things better. And remember, the election isn't over until every vote is counted.
Paid for by the Leadership Center for Attorney General Studies.
WURD Radio presents the following information to help you navigate the upcoming election.
This is Charles Ellison, host of Reality Check on WURD. More than 2/3 of all poll workers are 61 years of age or older. That's created a serious poll worker shortage, as older poll workers are understandably nervous about health risks during pandemic. If you or someone you know under the age of 40 is looking for part-time work and is interested in contributing to their community, sign up to be a poll worker today. In Pennsylvania, go to votespa.com, click on Be a Poll Worker, and complete an application. Keep following us at onWURD on Twitter, facebook.com/forward, and hashtag Word on Politics for constant updates on election 2020. And remember, vote early.
Stay informed
and vote. For more from Charles Ellison, tune in Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or visit wordradio.com.
Hey, Mama, you calling me for a change? You and Daddy all right?
We're fine. Can't your mama call and check on her babies and get a little advice?
You know you can. What do you need help with?
Well, despite COVID-19, you know I'm not letting anything stop your father and I from voting this year. But we're here in Pennsylvania. Should we go to our precinct as usual? What's the best way?
You mean I get to be Mama for a minute? All you have to do is go to aarp.org/election 2020.
That's my favorite site, and they have a lot of information about the pandemic.
You only text me the website 3 times, but they have all the reliable, up-to-date voting information for voters 50 plus in every state. Want me to text it to you?
Girl, I know. It's aarp.org/election 2020.
Well, me being your mama didn't last long.
That's 'cause I'll always be your mama.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, a traffic update
on WURD Radio.
Plenty of slow spots on the Philly roads. This report is sponsored by United Healthcare. Let's start in New Jersey. 295 southbound is at a crawl. 561 into 42. Left lane is blocked by a crash. Just the right lane is squeezing by at the moment. Northbound 295, no major delays. 42 southbound, just a tap of the brakes anywhere from the Walt Whitman Bridge into 295. Into Pennsylvania, 95 northbound jams the Betsy Ross Bridge to Bridge Street. Southbound 95, that's jamming Cottman to Bridge through construction. Then you're jammed again the Betsy Ross Bridge into Girard. On the Vine Expressway westbound, stop-and-go traffic as you head between 8th Street and the Schuylkill Expressway. And on the Schuylkill westbound, it jams University to 30th Street, then your heavy City to Belmont, and again King of Prussia out to 202. Eastbound on the Schuylkill, it's sluggish, 202 to Gulf Mills, and 476 to Belmont, and again from Montgomery into Spring Garden. In Philadelphia, we have Girard Avenue, 30 eastbound. That's jammed up as you go between 34th and 38th, that because of construction. You might want to detour yourself around that scene. Also, jammed traffic on the Boulevard northbound, Wissahickon Avenue into Broad Street. Some extra volume there.
United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plans come with a lot to take advantage of. Visit AdvantageWow.com to learn more. That's AdvantageWow.com to learn more about United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plans.
For more traffic information, log on to SIGAlert.com. I'm Brendan Joseph with your Philadelphia area traffic.
WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now.
Tune in on YouTube at onWURD
or on Facebook at ForWord.
WURD TV.
Black Talk Media. You're listening to Evening Words,
hosted by Nick Taliaferro,
exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
It was my sublime understanding that one of our callers called in and said, wait a minute, did Nick just say do unto others as you would have them to do unto you? Was suppose you wanted to shoot somebody. Do you want them to shoot you first? Well, now this is when it's time. I want you to back away slowly from any sharp objects. This is a statement made by Jesus to people who have a healthy disposition, and that is the way that you want to be treated. You should treat other people. I know one guy said, oh, good, I'm going to go over there and kiss that waitress because I sure want her to kiss me back. That's not what he was talking about. It is acts of kindness, gentleness, the way that you hope somebody would treat you. I'm hoping I'm getting across to somebody. Coming along in the 6 o'clock hour, we're going to go across the state to Erie, Pennsylvania, to talk about the strange case of Melquan Barnett, with the reporter who shared the story that I heard. Her name is Anjali Kamat, and she's a senior reporter of Reveal Investigative Reporting for Public Radio International, and we'll talk to his lawyer as well. You don't want to miss this story. But let's get back to the phone lines. Before we do, it is now 6 minutes away from the hour of 6. Maurice in Southwest Philadelphia, welcome to the program.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, man.
This is your disciple, number one disciple. Let me tell you something. I really appreciated how you handled the gentleman for the Trump supporter, because, see, one thing we need to understand is to understand why they are so Trump drunk. That's what I call it. Trump drunk, okay? See, we don't understand it. The Jim Jones factor, there's the Hitler factor, and we try to say, we only think from our side. That's why I watch Fox News every day. I listen to other stations that talk Republican, because I want to understand where they're coming from. So when I'm traveling around the state, because I've been to parts of the state that I think people in Philadelphia never even heard of.
Oh, yeah, and they're out there.
And I sit down and talk to white people. I throw them off because I never give them what they want to hear. You know, they want to hear me defend this and defend that, and I sit there as neutral. And then you know what they say by the end of the night?
What's that?
You're not like one of them.
Oh, that statement, yeah.
Yeah, they make that statement too, and I just look at them, and I'm like, okay. I never give them Black Lives Matter. I never give it, because I'm trying to find out information. But see, as soon as you say the word black, they shut down. If you say black, they just cut off. Oh, no, I don't want to talk about it. But one time I talked to Glenn Beck, right?
Oh, really?
Yes. I talked to all of them. I used to be a Rush Limbaugh fan before Obama came along. He used to be little reasonable.
Very little.
But he really went nuts when Obama was running. But what I'm saying is, this is the story. To make him understand what Black Lives Matter is, when you say, hey, I'm giving everybody gives a piece of pie. So we're handing out pie. And then I say, hey, I didn't get my pie. And he said, no, man, we gave you a pie. I said, no, really, I didn't get my pie. No, man, you got your pie. I said, that's what Black Lives Matter.
I don't know what that means.
You don't get our piece of the pie and you claim you got it. And then he said, I understand now. But if I would have put in there anything black, he could not understand what I was talking about.
Oh, so and I thank you for that, Maurice. You say you give him a lesson in equity and fairness, and then they understand you better.
Well, I appreciate you listening to it, because the best thing that Donald Trump ever does, see, even evil people got one thing that's good. And the only good thing Donald Trump did out of his presidency is that he did not get us into a war.
Well, not yet, but as Donald Trump would say, the day is still young. Thanks for that, Maurice. I tell you, Donald Trump, it doesn't take him long to mess up stuff. And look, if he doesn't win, he might get into a war with the planet Venus. You never know what this gentleman is going to do. All right, good people and bad people just as well. I want to thank everybody for the very warm welcome back. Since I've been back, I've got to tell you, I've been meeting people all over the city who are saying the same thing. Man, thank you so much for coming back. I really look forward to it. And it's such a warm welcome that I want to return the favor. You've been so warm to me. I want to be warm to you. Now, here we go. You can beat the chill with another layer of warmth for you from all of your friends here at WURD. I'm giving away, and I like to be able to say that, a hoodie to everybody who becomes a forward member between now and November the 2nd, and that's today. And that's today. Now, I don't know if they'll squeeze you in if you get it in by tomorrow. But if you go to wordradio.com/join now, or simply click the red bar at the right on the top of the page and use the code Welcome Back, you'll get a free hoodie worth $40 with WURD emblazoned in colorful characters across the chest piece, across the frontispiece. It is one of the, let me tell you, it's a beautiful, beautiful warm hoodie. It's the kind of hoodie that'll make you glad that you're one of the boys in the hoodie. Yes, indeed. So, folks, really, thank you for the warm welcome. I am glad to extend to you the privilege of a warm welcome also. Get your free hoodie by becoming a member of the 4WURD family. Right now, go to WURDradio.com/join now and become a part of the family and wrap yourself in a warm hoodie. And thank you for the warm welcome back. When we come back after this break, I'm going to share with you a story that you will not believe. It hails from Erie, Pennsylvania, but it's happening in Philadelphia as well, where the Justice Department is acting unjustly to enforce the rules and the thoughts and the desires of one President, Donald Trump. And we'll show you how it plays out in the life of one gentleman in Erie, Pennsylvania. You will not believe the story. After we get back from this break, you're listening strong to WURD 900 AM, 96.1 FM. I'm Nick Taliaferro, and this is Evening Words. We're back after this.
This year has been unprecedented. From the COVID pandemic to nationwide protests addressing systemic racism and calling for criminal justice reform. For weeks, we've been reminding you to make your voice heard in this election, and now is the time to act. Voting is how we empower our communities, and this election day, we can make things happen for us instead of letting things happen to us. So use your power and make your plan to vote today. If you signed up to vote by mail, don't wait. Complete your ballot, put it in the small envelope and seal it. Then put it in a larger envelope and seal that too. Sign and date it. Then drop off your ballot at your county election office today. If you have not signed up to vote by mail, go to the polls on Tuesday, November 3rd. Make sure to confirm your polling location, and don't forget to wear a mask. Polling places are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Election Day. To find your county election office or polling location, visit votespa.com. Take your power to the polls and vote. Paid for by Power Interfaith.
Want the latest in Word swag?
Check out the shop tab on WURDradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on WURDradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black.
Talk media.
Voting is power. The power to elect candidates who won't treat coronavirus like a joke. The power to invest in black communities. The power to create an economy that works for everyone. The power to invest in education and job training. And the power to replace Trump. Make a plan to vote today. Our lives depend on it.
Paid for by AFSCME People, which is responsible for the content of this ad. AFSCMEPeople.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Tune into WURD Radio Tuesday, November the 3rd for an Election Day special. You'll get information about polling issues. You'll hear from candidates and some elected officials, as well as lively discussions. That's Tuesday, November the 3rd from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. Only on WURD Radio 900 AM and 96.1 FM. This program is being brought to you by the Labor's District Council PACT Fund.
Keeping you informed. As a community service, WURD Radio and the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium wants to keep you informed about where you can get no-cost, barrier-free COVID-19 testing this week. Thursday, November 5th, from 3 p.m. till 7 p.m. at 1312 Willow Street, Norristown, Pennsylvania. And Saturday, November 7th, from 12 noon till 3 p.m. at Victory Christian Fellowship, 5220 Whitby Avenue in Philadelphia. Stay informed and stay well with WURD Radio.
96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
I'm Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and this message is for the sisters. We wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, aunties and daughters, teachers, community leaders, and CEOs. We rise to the occasion every day. We're good at it too. And now, more than ever, we need to do what we do. Show up and show out this election. To organize, to make those calls and get out the vote. To stand up for our families and our communities, just like you do every single day, every single time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are counting on us, and we know that we can count on them.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media. WURD on Politics. This election day, tune in to WURD Radio all day long for up-to-the-minute election day breakdowns and updates with Charles Ellison, beginning at 10 a.m. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live on WURDradio.com, the WURD Radio app, and watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media. WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now.
Tune in on YouTube at onWURD
or on Facebook at ForWord.
WURD TV.
Black Talk Media. You're listening to Evening Words, hosted by Nick Taliaferro, exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Back with you, ladies and gentlemen, for the final hour of the, I started to say the Nick Taliaferro show, but that was 5 years ago. The final hour of Evening Words with Nick coming along at 7 o'clock. Slide a little bit of space over on your plate to leave space for Sincerely Sarita. She'll be coming your way with your favorite kind of 7 o'clock radio, taking you gently into the night. Coming along at 9 o'clock, of course, is Reverend Al Sharpton, who will be getting you all stirred up to get you to go out and vote tomorrow. Hopefully, folks, you've got yourself together, you've made your plan, and you will vote if you have not done so already. And there is no better reason to vote than the story that I'm going to share with you right now. I was listening to the radio over the weekend, to public radio, and I said to myself as I was listening to a story, I could not believe that it was so. I must find this reporter and bring her to you. It was a story about protests that took place on the west side of the state of Pennsylvania, in the city of Erie, set hard by the lake Erie. You know about it, of course. Most of you have never been to Erie, and this story will probably tell you why you haven't. But this is a story about a young man named Melquan Barnett who went out to join the protest after the murder of Mr. George Floyd. But what happened after that was so unseemly that it defies imagination. Here to tell us more about the story is the reporter who shared it from Reveal Investigative Reporting with public radio. Please make welcome Anjali Kamat. Now, did I say that correctly, Anjali?
Absolutely right. Thank you for having me.
I want to thank you for your fine work, and in a few moments we'll introduce the attorney who's a part of this story as well. But Anjali is a senior reporter for Reveal, and she was an investigative reporter for WNYC, so she knows her way around the journalistic field. Take us back to where this story begins. After the death of George Floyd, all over the country, people began to protest. Tell us about what happened in Erie.
So, Erie is this city that is, Trump won by 2 points in 2016. It's a Rust Belt town. It's a town that's lost 2/3 of its manufacturing jobs and a third of its population in the past 50 years. It's a city that's really taken a beating when it comes to the economy. And I ended up connecting with this young man named Melquan Barnett. And the reason I did is because of what happened to him after he went to his very first protest. He's a young African-American man who grew up in Erie. He's 28 years old. He has 2 kids, 2 young boys. He used to work as a forklift operator. He lost his job and then COVID hit. So, there was no hiring happening. And he was, spending time coaching his son's football team. And making cakes for ladies in the neighborhood is what he was telling me. And then he had a tragedy in the family. His infant daughter passed away a month after she was born. And so he was really depressed and, just very, very upset. And then he heard the news about George Floyd getting murdered. And he said something in him just rose up and he felt this deep anger. Because, of course, George Floyd was not the first. And this is something he'd been seeing. And he grew up in Erie, and he describes Erie as a place that's not a good place for a Black man to grow up in. And he said his childhood and his adolescent years were filled with stops by the police. He said he'd been stopped so many times and asked to show ID that he knew police officers by sight. And this is a young man who's never gone out to a protest. And then he started watching the footage on television and on the internet of protests across the country. And then his girlfriend tells him there's a protest in Erie on Saturday night. This is 5 days after George Floyd is murdered. So Saturday, May 30th. It's also, it's that weekend, that first weekend of major protests.
I remember
there's 1,200 protests across the country that weekend, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, many of us were probably out in the streets as well. And he decides to go out and he goes. And then something happens that night. We don't know exactly what, but what we do know is there was a peaceful protest that started at 6, and then at 9, protesters gathered outside the police station, and then things got tense. There were fireworks thrown, police started throwing tear gas, things got really tense, people got upset. And then by the end of the night, the city was saying that they were going to declare a riot. They said the peaceful protest has turned into a riot. They declared a state of emergency, and they told people not to come downtown. 2 days later, the police announced that they have a suspect in one of the businesses that was damaged that night. And it's a new coffee shop that opened up maybe 3 years ago. And again, this is an economically depressed city.
Somebody had kicked in the plate glass and supposedly thrown an incendiary device.
Yeah, you just saw this fireball in the window. This is all videos posted on social media. And the owner of the coffee shop is this young white woman who grew up in southern Pennsylvania in Waynesburg. And she moved to Erie. For her, Erie was the big city. She wanted to try and kind of, revive this manufacturing past in Erie. So she opens this independent coffee shop. And she's watching these videos at home and is like, oh my God, what's happening to my business? Because, this is also COVID, right? So she might have thought for many months that she was going to have to shut down her business. And now she's like, oh, is this what's going to lead me to shut down? When she goes into the coffee shop, she's like, oh, it's not that bad. There's just 3 broken windows and 1 table that's a little bit charred. So she's like, okay, it's not a big deal. We're going to shut down for 1 day. That's it. No big deal.
She got some people to help fix it up for free, if I'm correct.
That is correct, yeah. Okay. So some local woodworker was like, I'll fix it for you. Don't worry about it. So she's not too worried about anything. And then she comes in the next day and, the police come and ask her for her surveillance footage, right? Which she expected.
Right.
But then she gets a couple of unusual visitors. The FBI comes. And
now, let me make sure I got this right. Now, this is something that happened in the little city of Erie. Somebody kicks in a plate glass window, an incendiary device that doesn't do a lot of damage. And the next thing you know, the FBI, a federal investigative unit, is in Erie asking about something that amounted to next to nothing. But go ahead.
So she is very surprised. She's like, what is the FBI doing here? But she doesn't know how to say no to them. So when they start asking questions, she says, sure. And they ask her really strange questions is what she's thinking, because they're asking her about her business model. They're asking her, where did she get this? Where does she buy this? Where does she buy her coffee cups? Where does she buy her coffee? So she's telling them, and she's like, look, I wanted to start an independent local coffee shop. I wanted an alternative to Starbucks. It's so local.
Mm-hmm.
But then she happens to buy, her plastic to-go cups, what you'd get an iced coffee in.
Right.
She buys those from Buffalo, New York, just across the lake, not that far away. And they took note of it, and she didn't think much of it. She just thought it was a strange visit. She didn't think much about it. And that same day, the local police announced they had a suspect in the fire, and they announced it was Melquan Barnett. So she had no idea who he was. She didn't think too much about it. 2 days later, you'll hear, we'll be joined shortly by Melquan's lawyer, Charles Sanwabe. But Charles takes Melquan to the police to turn, he decides
Charles decides to turn himself in when he finds out they're looking for him, okay?
Right. He's like, he wants to go see what the deal is, right?
Melquan, yes.
Yeah, because Melquan hears, they come looking for him at his mom's house. So he hears, like, the police are looking for me. He doesn't want any trouble. So he's like, let me go find out what's going on. And he goes to find out, and the police there, that he's charged with a number of local state crimes, which Charles can tell us about. And Charles thinks that's the end of the story. 4 hours later, Melquan is sitting in his cell, and he's kind of looking up at the television on his wall, and he sees the news, and the news says that the feds are now investigating his case. Wow. His case has now become a federal prosecution.
A federal case.
The state has dropped it, the Commonwealth has dropped it, and now it's a federal case of arson, which is a much bigger deal because a federal arson charge is a minimum of 5 and a maximum of 20 years.
Well, that takes us gently to the segue where we introduce our second guest. Charles Sanwabe is an attorney, a defense attorney who is representing Mr. Melquan Barnett. And the good news is that Charles Sanwabe has connections to Philadelphia that he hopes to strengthen in the days to come. So we've got a young man now who is being accused, and there's, he is not pled to it, but he was accused of being the person who kicks in a plate glass window, throws a device. It doesn't do a lot of damage. The young lady doesn't have to pay anything. Insurance covers some, and there's only one table that's damaged. He's in jail for that, and while he's in jail, the feds come in and take over. How do federal agents take over a local case like that, Charles?
That beats me. That's the million-dollar question in the room. A couple of things. As Angelique correctly pointed out, because she owns this story now. She's part of the Melquan story.
This is her story.
Yes. When Melquan was charged, he reached out to me immediately, like there and then. He called me that night and said, look, I participated in this demonstration, and now I'm hearing that Erie County is charging me with arson. And I told him, look, stay put. I gave me at least 2 days. There's COVID and, and what if I want to sit back and allow 2 days for all of this stuff to calm down, and then I will take you in. And we did just that. I contacted Erie County Police and let them know that I will be turning Mr. Barnett in, and we did that. The speed at which all of this moved is both stunning to me and unbelievable at best. I take this young man in around, I believe, 1:30. I walked back to my office, grabbed my bag, went home, prepared dinner. I'm sitting down to eat, and I'm getting phone calls coming in one after another saying, hey, you've been charged in federal court. And the federal charges are flimsy, in my view. How do you go from a little coffee shop in Erie?
Right.
Incendiary devices thrown in it, to order for certain it is now an article of interstate commerce? How does that happen? overnight. That's where we are.
Let me take the opportunity to reintroduce our guest. Anjali Kamat is a senior reporter at Reveal. Reveal is an investigative reporting outlet that you can hear on public radio. And I heard her this weekend. When I heard this story, I said, I've got to bring it to our listeners. Charles Sinwabi is an attorney, and he is the defense attorney of record for Mr. Melquan Barnett, who was arrested in Erie for vandalism and then an incendiary device, and then suddenly found himself facing federal charges. And my understanding, Anjali and Charles, is that the way the federal government trumped up these charges is that because the woman who owned the place, I believe her name is Hannah, because Hannah
That's right.
bought her cups from New York State.
That's right.
She bought her cups from New York State. They said that if Melquan broke into the place and caused a fire, that he was interrupting interstate commerce, thereby making it a federal offense. And the reason they did it was not because they gave a kitty about the cups or the coffee, but they did it because the Trump administration wants to make examples out of protesters. The name of your article is Stopping a Movement. Anjali, tell me how that fits with this case.
Look, I mean, Melquan's case is not an anomaly. He's one of 340 plus people who have gotten federal charges this summer. Now, when you think about all that happened this summer, and you think about, there were certainly incidents of violence at many of the protests, but a lot of that violence, which has been recorded on video, came from law enforcement. But you see not a single unsealed public investigation from the federal government into excessive force by the police at these demonstrations. I mean, this was on camera, people getting their skulls cracked, people's eyes getting shot out, people driving cars, cops driving cars into crowds of protesters. None of that is being investigated at a federal level as far as we know. But what we do know, and what the DOJ has, done a really amazing job in publicizing, there's like numerous press releases and press conferences, is about how they're going after violent protesters, what they're calling violent mobs. They call these people terrorists. And then you look into it, and I did an analysis of all of the unsealed cases, which is 319 of them. There are less than a dozen cases that involve armed right-wing people who were at the protests. Two of the cases concern a murder of a federal officer, and that was committed by two members of the Boogaloo movement, which is a right-wing group. In terms of the other cases of that resulted in any sort of bodily injury or bodily harm, there's a total of 15 other cases. Of those 15 cases, 3 of them were protesters who injured themselves. And a dozen of them were where there were injuries to police by protesters throwing things at police. In most cases, as written up in the complaints by the DOJ themselves, these were minor injuries. So when you look at that number, right, it's like 17 cases, 2 of which, yes, did concern a murder. But again, it's 2 out of 340. And those were right-wing protesters. And then you compare that to the rhetoric coming straight from the president, straight from our attorney general, about these protesters as terrorists, as violent far-left extremists, as Antifa, this entire sort of narrative of like the violent far-left taking over the protests. And then you see they're going after people who threw Molotov cocktails at abandoned police cars. They're going after people who allegedly set small fires in buildings where nobody was injured. These are crimes, sure, but they can be handled by state courts. I talked to multiple DAs who were like, why can't we handle these cases?
I mean, let's talk about proportionality. I mean, Mr. Sinwabi, as an attorney, what was, and we'll ask this question and then we'll take a break and come back and dig into this a little more if you guys can give me a little extra time. What was the crime he was charged with initially, and what amount of time would that have brought to him if he had been found guilty compared to what comes next when the feds step in?
The difference between the state charge for arson and the federal charge is like night and day. Okay, in state court, the end result would have been a lot different, quite frankly. But now we've gone from state court to federal court, and Melquan Barnett, this young man, 28 years old, is looking at a minimum 5 years beyond bar, and at the highest end of the federal sentencing scale, he's looking at 20 years.
Wow.
Okay. For something that, in my view, and as I've argued over and over again, this is a state matter.
It sounds like it to me.
Really, it's state matter. This issue belongs in Erie County courtroom, not in federal court.
But we have an aggressive president and an aggressive person over the Department of Justice who decides that this crime is going to be played up writ large. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation, find out what's going on with Mr. Barnett right now, and whether or not this is happening in a city nearer to you than you think. Our guests are Angelique Comet and Charles Suwabi. They are telling us the story of Melquan Barnett, who went out to protest and then found himself facing federal charges that could have him in jail up to 20 years. Stay with us, folks. You're listening to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, and we'll be back with our guest and with you right after this.
There's a pressing need to strengthen pathways to better jobs in communities of color. That's why Bank of America is investing $1 billion to advance racial equality and economic opportunity.
I'm Jim Dever, Greater Philadelphia Market President for Bank of America. We've partnered with Coded by Kids to connect people to new skills and employment opportunities. It's just one way we're taking action in Greater Philadelphia right now.
Bank of America N.A., member FDIC, equal credit opportunity lender.
Everyone has a different journey to their vote, but we all take the same steps. If you want to vote, register by October 19th. If you want to vote by mail, apply now and mail your ballot back as early as possible, before November 3rd. Or bring it to a satellite election office. If you want to vote in person, go to your polling location on November 3rd. However you want to vote, we'll help you find the way. Visit PhiladelphiaVotes.com.
Tuesday, November 3rd is Election Day in Pennsylvania. Polls are open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. New Voices for Reproductive Justice is reminding you to make a plan to vote. What time will you vote? How will you get there? Where is your poll located? Part of your plan is to protect your health. When you go to the poll, make sure you wear a mask, bring sanitizer, and stay 6 feet apart. For more info, visit newvoicesrj.org/2020elections. newvoicesrj.org/2020elections.
I'm Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and this message is for the sisters. We wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, aunties and daughters, teachers, community leaders, and CEOs. We rise to the occasion every day. We're good at it too. And now, more than ever, we need to do what we do. Show up and show out this election. To organize, to make those calls and get out the vote, to stand up for our families and our communities, just like you do every single day, every single time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are counting on us, and we know that we can count on them.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Hello?
Hey, you've been on my mind, so I'm just calling to check in.
Oh, we're holding up well here in Pennsylvania. Just trying to stay safe and figuring out if we should vote in person or by mail. We like going to the polls.
Yeah, you never miss an election.
And you know we're not missing this year either, and neither should you. But which way is the safest?
Well, remember that valuable information you got from AARP about COVID-19? Mom even had me read it.
Yeah, that was good info.
AARP has up-to-date voting information for 50-plus voters in every state. It's right there at aarp.org/election2020.
Oh, I got it. aarp.org/election2020. I love having the answers before your mama.
Pops, you know what happens when you try to show out.
Yeah, you probably right about that.
Remember when Trump defended neo-Nazis?
You also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Or downplayed the coronavirus?
It's going to disappear one day. It's like a miracle.
It's time to fire politicians who failed us and elect leaders who will fight systemic racism, have a plan to beat the coronavirus, and will address bias in our healthcare system. This election, remember whose side Trump is on, not yours. Request a ballot now. Make a plan to vote. Our lives depend on it. Paid for by the NAACP.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton, keeping it real.
With the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time.
Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight. I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real.
With the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
This program is pre-recorded.
No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM.
WURDradio.com.
WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now.
Tune in on YouTube at onWURD.
Or on Facebook at ForWord.
WURD TV.
Black Talk Media. You're listening to Evening Words.
Hosted by Nick Taliaferro.
Exclusively on WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Let's get right back to this fascinating story. Thank you for joining us, folks. It is now 32 minutes away from the hour of 7 o'clock. Joining us in our virtual studio, Anjali Kamat is a senior reporter for Reveal, which is a news source that you can hear on public radio. We'll make sure that you get that address for your own pleasure so that you can follow this story. It is a story worth following. Charles Sawabi is a defense attorney in Erie and also a defense attorney in, you're practicing in the D.C. area, am I correct, Charles?
No. I just moved to the D.C. area. That's why I'm going to be setting my shop in Philadelphia.
And later on, ladies and gentlemen, coming to a neighborhood near you right here in the city of Philadelphia, this fine gentleman can take up your cause in your case. The Department of Justice decided that they wanted to go after people who were protesting and criminalize them rather than look at the circumstances that surround why they are protesting. And so they went after this young man. We just heard from Mr. Sunwabi that we're talking about a 20-year possible sentence. This happens in more than Erie. You said earlier, Anjali, that Philadelphia has cases like that.
That's right. I mean, there's over 340 cases in at least 31 states across the country, and Philly has a number of cases. I mean, in fact, the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania announced charges against 4 people for an alleged arson of a Philadelphia State Trooper police car on the night of May 30th. And he announced these charges maybe 4 or 5 days ago, late last week. I was closing the story. That's why I remember it. And I was like, oh, I have to add this in. And it was really astounding because 2 of the people who've been charged are from out of state. It's one person from Atlantic City, another person from somewhere in Virginia, but 2 of the others are from Philly. And one of them appears to be a very well-known community activist and a teacher, Anthony David Ale Smith with the Philadelphia Coalition for Racial, Economic, and Legal Justice. And they're each facing allegations and charges that would lock them up if they get convicted for a maximum of 65 years each. It's not a joke.
You know, Charles, as an attorney, when you see the Justice Department using their laws capriciously this way, not to exact justice or to bring about healing, but they are using their laws to try to become punitive based upon their ideology that these people, these quote people, are not protesters, but they are anarchists. What can be done legally to counteract that? Can they sue, or are they just left with nothing more than the task of trying to defend themselves?
Well, you know, you have to defend yourself. At the end of the day, your freedom is your money, as a good old law professor once told me. Your freedom is your money. So you have to defend yourself first and foremost. The rest of this stuff, if you were charged wrongly, if this is a malicious prosecution, that's something you would deal with down the line. You always have that right under our Constitution. This is the United States of America. But for now, in my case, and in the cases of many other young people who found themselves facing federal charges, and I talked to quite a lot of defense attorneys who are in my position today, our overarching goal right now is to secure the freedom of those individuals that we are defending. The rest of the stuff will come later. But right now, our focus is narrow. We're thinking about their freedom. I mean, like I said, my client is only 28 years old. He's looking 20 years behind bars.
Yeah, yeah. Middle-aged man. Now,
Yes.
now, he is not behind bars. He was in jail for 3 months. Am I correct?
Yes.
And but he is out now.
For, is that 3 months, I believe?
Yeah, I think so, right? If he got taken in June and let out at the end of August, it's almost 3 months.
But now he's under house arrest.
Yes.
And he is facing the charges of federal arson.
Absolutely. That's the lead charge, federal arson under the Commerce Clause.
And as he is on house arrest, what are his liberties? What limitations are placed upon him?
His rights are severely limited. He does not see that as a significant problem at this point. What is concerning to me at this point is his mental health.
Okay.
He goes through episodes and periods of being down.
Depression.
Whereby he will reach me. So I have had to play a dual role of an attorney, and he now has started calling me his big brother. So I get these phone calls. I have to take off the glove, put the attorney gloves aside, and then talk to him man on man. I hate to use the word black man on black man, and then we talk at that level to get him to calm down and to know that, we have to focus on the bigger picture, which is securing his freedom. But he's going through a lot right now, to put it mildly.
And I just ask people to remember, I mean, this is a young man who lost his job, who lost his infant daughter. An infant daughter. He hadn't even gotten to hold her. And now, I mean, from what he was telling me, he isn't even allowed on his front porch or in his backyard. He doesn't get any sunlight.
So he is physically, house arrest for him means physically within the walls of his house.
That's right.
For one event that happened, that he is charged with when he was out protesting. Now, the idea, the name of the article, and for those of you who want to follow this, we're going to ask Anjali to give you the address so you can follow his story. I enjoy giving credit to our reporters when they dig up these things and share them with us. But the idea is not simply to punish Melquan rather, but it is to, quote, stop this protest movement. And this comes directly from the highest authority in our nation. This is a Trump initiative. He wants to stop people from protesting. Am I correct, Angela?
Well, these were his words on June 1st, so exactly a week after George Floyd was murdered. It was Monday, June 1st, and people might remember the Lafayette Square incident when the president and attorney general had federal and local troops tear gas protesters in Lafayette Square right in front of the White House so that the president could then walk across an empty square and do a photo op in front of a church. Well, that day, a few hours before this happened, the president had a private conference call with the nation's governors, every governor in the country. And the audio of this was leaked almost immediately to the press, which is how we know what happened on that call. And I was listening to the audio, and, the headlines that day was, President Trump telling governors, you have to dominate the protesters. The protesters are terrorists. The protesters are Antifa. You have to dominate. And then you had Barr come in, the attorney general come in and say, we need to go after the troublemakers. We need to go after the guys with Molotov cocktails and bricks. Basically saying the federal government needs to go after these kinds of petty crimes.
Right.
And then you keep listening, and I was really astounded because I didn't see a lot of reporting on this. And towards the end of the call, he says, this is like Occupy Wall Street. This is a movement. And he said, this is a movement that's going to get worse and worse unless you put it down. And those were his
almost
words.
like a rabid dog unless you put it down. Wow, wow. It is frightening to think of it this way. Now, this case will not be prosecuted, or at least if you have your way, Mr. Sinwabi, until after this election and after a new president is sworn in, hopefully a new president. Am I correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Last question for you, Mr. Sinwabi, and then we'll get that address from Ms. Comet. They're saying that Melquan Barnett, who grew up in Erie, that he is a trained, that it's not funny, but it's stupid, that he's a trained terrorist as a part of Antifa. Is this what they're saying?
Well, this is not what the United States is saying. This is what is on the street, and I have been interviewed by local news outlets in Erie where I've had to push back on this. He's not, this kid has no links whatsoever to any outside group. He was in Erie at his house, like Angelique just said. He wasn't even dreaming about participating in the demonstration, okay? But his girlfriend and some friends have said, look, this is for Mr. Floyd, who just got killed in Minnesota. This is for our community. We are going to go out and participate in this demonstration. He had no training for no Antifa. He doesn't even know what Antifa is. This is the greatest stretch of anything I have encountered in my life. He knows nobody from Antifa, none whatsoever.
As far as he's concerned, Antifa is Uncle Tifa's wife. I mean, so that's as far as it goes. Okay. This story is fascinating were it not for the fact that they are trying to ruin the lives of people, many of them young, poor, and black. Mr. Sinwabi, I am so grateful that you are there for Mr. Barnett. Is there anything that can be done for on the part of my listeners to assist him?
I think he needs all of the support that he can get at this point. You know, like I said, Mr. Barnett goes through periods of depression, anxiety, and all of the above. He needs community support. Those from Philadelphia out in Erie who are listening to this broadcast, who wish to reach out to Mr. Melquan Barnett, I will encourage them to reach out and give him emotional support. He needs that, and I'm sure Angelique can attest to that.
I will afterwards. I'll check back with you to get an address where we can send letters and expressions of support. Anjali, you have done extraordinary work in bringing this story to us. How can people continue to follow your byline? How can they check in to read up on this story as you continue to pursue it?
Well, thank you so much. My story is on revealnews.org. So that's reveal, REVAL, NEWS.org, revealnews.org. And you can always follow me on Twitter. I'm at Anju Comet. So ANJUCOMET, like the heavenly body.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, these are two individuals doing the work of angels. Anjali Comet is a senior reporter for Reveal. They do extraordinary investigative work. This is a part of her background. She was a former investigative reporter for WNYC. And also Charles Sinwabi is a defense attorney. If I'm correct, Charles, you were one of only two black defense attorneys in the Erie area?
Yes, there's two of us. Yes, there are two of us.
In Philadelphia, we don't even know how to think that way. I mean, you know, but I tell you, and Erie will have.
Actually, I take that by the three of us now. I think three. Yeah, three. Yeah.
Well, isn't that just ginger peachy? Well, there'll be one less when Charles comes this way into Philadelphia. We will extend our arms and make you welcome. Anjali and Mr. Sinwabi, thank you both for the work that you're doing. We'll be in touch, and we'll follow this story as you continue to work within it. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care.
It is a real privilege.
Nice seeing you, Angelique.
I know. This is the first time Charles and I are actually seeing each other. We've been used to talking on the
months
phone.
of talking, phone calls.
WURD brings people together. So
Yes.
You really do.
And I don't know who
I'll
has it, but
see you in Philadelphia soon. So.
absolutely, sir. Lunch is on me. I have to acquaint you with the ways of Philly. I have to buy you a hoagie and a cheesesteak. That's where it starts.
I'm coming. I'm ready. Let's
and
do it.
Anjali, same to you.
Wonderful. Maybe I'll come in a couple of weeks before it gets too cold.
They're our guests, folks. We'll be bringing them back, hopefully. We'll take a quick pause. Just about 18 minutes away from the hour of 7 o'clock. You're listening to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM. This is Nick, and you're listening to Even Words. We'll be back after this.
The pandemic is not only putting everyone's health at risk, it's also impacted our jobs and retirement security. And it's disproportionately affecting African Americans, especially those 50 plus. That's why AARP Pennsylvania is fighting for your voice to be heard. If you haven't voted yet, now is the time to learn about your voting options and cast your ballot. We're working to make sure you can vote safely, whether you choose to vote from home or in person. And if you choose to vote by mail, make sure you return your ballot using both envelopes. Your ballot goes in the smaller envelope for secrecy, and that goes into the larger envelope for mailing. Also, don't forget to sign the voter declaration on the back. Your voice matters. Make sure it's heard. Go to aarp.org/PA votes to learn about your voting options and how to vote safely this election. Visit aarp.org/PA votes today. Paid for by AARP.
Keystone First VIP Choice HMO SNP Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan has a 4 out of 5 star rating and is one of the highest rated Medicare plans in the region. Keystone First VIP Choice and you are better together. If you live in Philadelphia, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, or Delaware County, and you have both Medicare and Medicaid, choose the Medicare plan that is working to help you get better care. Enjoy extra benefits at no cost to you with Keystone First VIP Choice. You get benefits like dental, vision, and transportation to and from your medical appointments. They also cover a fitness membership to a gym of your choice. $150 toward over-the-counter pharmacy items. There's no copay for doctor's visits. They offer a large provider network, a great prescription plan, dental coverage, and even eyeglasses. Plus, you don't have to wait for open enrollment. You can change your coverage every quarter. Keystone First VIP Choice. The name you trust, the service you deserve. Call Keystone First VIP Choice today at 1-877-686-1760 or visit KeystoneFirstVIPChoice.com.
Hi, this is the actress Celia Ward. Election day is coming up, and making sure that our votes are counted is just as critical as casting the ballot. Any voter can vote by mail by using a mail-in ballot, but please follow the instructions carefully. After you fill out your ballot, you place it in the white envelope labeled official ballot. Your ballot won't be counted if it's not in this envelope. Put the white envelope into the pre-addressed outer return envelope, sign, seal that pre-addressed return envelope, and sign the declaration on the envelope. Return your ballot by mail or by hand delivering it to your County Board of Election office or dropping it off at a designated drop box location. This year's been hard, losing loved ones, jobs, class time, more shootings of unarmed black people. So your vote, our vote, is part of making things better. And remember, the election isn't over until every vote is counted.
Paid for by the Leadership Center for Attorney General Studies.
What you get for your vote is important. For decades, Democrats like Joe Biden have taken our votes for granted. They have promised us a better future and never delivered. What did our votes for Biden get us? He wrote the 1994 crime bill that put millions of black men in prison for nonviolent crimes and a sluggish economy that left our communities behind. What does a vote for President Trump and his Platinum Plan get you? A contract with Black America that prioritizes black economic empowerment, 3 million new jobs for the black community, 500,000 new black-owned businesses, an increase in access to capital in black communities by almost $500 billion, better and cheaper health care, more education opportunities, and continued historic improvements to our criminal justice system. A vote for Biden gets you the same failed policies we've seen for decades. But with President Trump, the best is yet to come.
I'm Donald Trump, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Donald J. Trump for President, Incorporated.
This is Latasha Brown of Black Voters Matter. Trump is a liar.
He and the Republicans will do anything to steal this election. For weeks, Trump and his supporters have been gassing up our community with empty promises, fear tactics, and spending millions of dollars on social media ads with outright lies to divide us. He says he's been good to black people. Truth is, 80% of black businesses didn't receive any stimulus money. Thousands of our folks have died from COVID-19 because of his lack of leadership. And the First Step Act was created by Congress, not him. He only signed it. It is important that we know that black wealth has not grown at all in the last 4 years. So while some may be easily fooled and distracted by Trump lies, not us. We must stand strong that we're not going back because racism is not okay. Family, make sure that you get out on November 3rd and cast your vote.
Paid for by Black Voters Matter Action PAC, which is responsible for the content of this ad, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
WURD TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now.
Tune in on YouTube at onWURD
or on Facebook at WURD.
WURD TV.
Black Talk Media. You're listening to Evening Words, hosted by Nick Taliaferro, exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Indeed, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Final few moments of Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. It's about 12 minutes away. And we will be asking you to move all of your other goodies aside and make some room and save some space. Sincerely Sarita comes your way. Save space for Sincerely Sarita at 7 o'clock. And then the bombastic one himself, the Reverend Al Sharpton, talking about making room. Al Sharpton is coming your way at 9 o'clock right here on your favorite conversation station, something for everybody, here at Talk Central, 900 AM, 96.1 FM. Way back in 1989, I got married. Now, I must admit, marriage didn't last as long as I thought it would, but let me tell you, out of that marriage, I got something that is the best thing you can ever get. It's called in-laws. And I love my in-laws. I know most people don't say that. And they're joining me online, a lot of them right now. Lauren, the eldest of the in-law clan over in California, JP, the youngest down in the DC area. But the thing that I really got was the sweetest of all, is I got a niece out of this. And I didn't think that there was anybody who could ever be any sweeter than my niece, Grace. Grace is just a sweetheart. I adore her. But lo and behold, she had a baby. And her baby was Sydney, Sid the kid. And Sid the kid was even sweeter. I tell you, look, how lucky can a man get? So Lauren and JP and Grace and Sid, I love you with all my heart. And even a little bit of somebody else's heart. And a couple of corpuscles. But anyway, all right, here we go. We got a couple of phone calls we want to get to them before we say farewell to everybody. Let's go to Curtis first in Northeast Philadelphia. Curtis, that was some story. Thank you for your call and welcome to the show. Hello, Curtis.
Good evening.
Curtis going once. You there? Okay, man.
Hello.
Oh, is that Lola?
Yes, this is Lola. Yes.
Oh, okay. Then we look. Hey, ladies first and ladies better.
Okay.
Help.
All right. Thank you so much for taking my call, and thank you so much for that informative segment regarding the young man in Erie, because the topic, when she was talking about it, I was thinking about Anthony Williams, who I met a few years ago, a very nice young man. I met him at the Free Library of Philadelphia, and I wanted to say, like, he is in the same boat, but he is in federal prison for supposedly torching a police van. And Nick, this is really, really disturbing what they are trying to do to our young black men and women too, who are out protesting. If this is true, they don't have any. They haven't shown any type of footage or anything. But McSwain came on TV and had a press conference about that there will be no bail for this young man, right? And the police officer Chauvin, who killed George Floyd, is out on bail.
Is out on bail.
Is out on bail, right? This man, Nick, killed a man on TV. 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And
under color of law. Under color of law. Yeah.
Right. And you have a black young man who's out peacefully protesting with a long history of giving back to his community. He is a teacher. I met him. I seen him. I work in town. He was just a very giving young man, always into activism, not just for this event, but for all the things in the past of Philadelphia, the Rizzo statue, all of that.
What's his name again, Lola? What's his name again?
Anthony Smith, and he is sitting in federal prison. And he said, and Ms. Swain, on a televised press conference on TV, 3, 6, and 10, that they arrested him and these other 4 guys, and they will sit in jail in federal court in Allenwood or Allentown with no bail.
Yeah.
Allenwood, yes, with no bail.
You know what?
Can you believe this?
Unfortunately, after the story we just heard, yes. But what we want to do is we want to follow it up. And you see, you know, what William Barber said earlier in our program is that you don't have to take certain things. The only reason you have to take them is they become inevitable when you decide that there's nothing you can do and you throw up your hands. I want to investigate Mr. Anthony Smith and see what we can find out about his story and see if we can bring it back to you. And I want to thank you for bringing it to us.
I saw you on I kind of followed you a little bit on Twitter, and I saw that you had liked something or said something to Michael Cord. He had a segment on the show on Sunday, so you can actually hit up your friend Michael Cord and ask him about it, because he did a whole segment on it on Sunday. This young man is in desperate need, and it is really atrocity, and black people, we have to really get out and vote, because when we don't vote, we see what happens to us. We see what happens to us when a man like this gets into office.
I've got 1 minute to take one more call, but Lola, I'm going to check into that, and Michael Cord is one of my heroes, and so I will ask Michael Cord about that. Let's see if we can catch up with Curtis. Try to get you early, Curtis. We're short on time, but last word is yours. And once again, Curtis. Oh, there you are. Hello. You got about 30 seconds now, man.
Can I hear you? I can't hear. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, Nick, I was just calling to welcome you back. And I've been a lifelong URD member, and I'm going to renew my membership early because I'm glad they brought you back. And I appreciate all of the intellect and the wit. And I really appreciate it.
Well, Matt, first of all, that's very kind of you. And if you're going to renew your membership, make sure you put down when you renew it that you talk to me on the 2nd so that we can get you a free hoodie, okay?
Thank you, Nick.
Hey, it's a privilege, man. We try to keep people warm. Viola, unfortunately, I'm right up against the clock. And my program director said if I don't stop at 5 minutes before, that she's going to beat me with an organic carrot and lay me in a field of strawberries that have gone deaf, and then make me just lay in the cold, cold ground. So we'll catch up with you on tomorrow, because I've got to get ready to sail off into the night. I want to thank all of our guests who helped us to make this show what it is. Reverend William J. Barber, who is just the man when it comes to civil rights. Valerie Jarrett, the former advisor to President Barack Obama. Anjali Kamat and Charles Suwabi to tell us about the Melquan Barnett case. Our producer of renown, handling things for us in the way that only he can, Mr. Eric Nixon, and more importantly, folks, you. We thank you for joining us. Tomorrow we'll be live at Relish Restaurant with Congressman Dwight Evans as we have our Election Day program. It's going to be great. Tune in, don't miss it. On behalf of all the good folks at WRD who make it possible for us to speak to you this way, have a great day today, a better one tomorrow. Stay tuned and save space. For Sincerely Sarita, I'm Nick, telling you have a good night.